I'm Margaret, 59 years old. A few years ago, just before my husband's 60th birthday, he passed away, leaving me feeling somewhat aimless. However, an unexpected event changed that. Recently, a baby was born to my younger son, Mitchell. The baby was full of life, but his wife, Karen, was not in good condition, so the newborn was discharged from the hospital first. Mitchell, a first-time parent, was overwhelmed, so I was called in to help. Working together with Karen's parents, who came to help when they could, I supported Mitchell, visited Karen in the hospital, and took care of the baby. It was a busy but joyful time, and it really lifted my spirits. When Karen was finally discharged, she implored my help. I ended up staying with Mitchell and his family for a while. Karen, who had always been so kind, constantly thanked me for helping with the baby. I didn't mind taking care of her while she was still recovering. And we spent some busy but pleasant days together. Then, an unexpected news arrived. It was about my elder son, Ken's marriage. At 36, my single eldest son had always been a source of worry due to his somewhat flighty nature. So, I was happy about his marriage. But the woman Ken brought home, Heather, was a decade younger than him. She seemed like a well-bred young lady at first impression. However, when she came to introduce herself along with her parents, I was caught off guard, not expecting them. I was flustered about what to serve at my house, which I had just returned to after a long time. Then, with a snort, Heather's mother, Teresa, commented disdainfully. "The house seems quite neglected. I'm worried about sending my precious daughter here." There were deep wrinkles between her eyebrows. "I apologize for the state of the house. I've been helping with my grandson at Mitchell's house and just returned here," I said, though not intending it as an excuse. However, Teresa's expression soured even more. "So, you prioritized your younger son's marriage over your elder? And you're taking care of his child while neglecting the elder? Excuse me?" I was bewildered, not understanding the implication of her words. I had never even considered that there would be a particular order to my son's marriages. Really? "I'm concerned about the future." "Heather, are you really sure about this marriage?" "Well, I'm already pregnant." I was dumbfounded. Not only was the marriage with a significantly younger partner sudden, but there was also a child involved. I thought Heather was from a good family, but it seemed that wasn't entirely the case. Unaware of my shock, Teresa continued to frown. "Really, Ken is such a handful. A shotgun wedding. And she's an only child, at that. The wedding will be so hurried." "A wedding?" This was news to me. Be careful not to let the pregnancy show at the wedding. As I struggled to keep up with the surprises, Heather and her mother continued discussing the wedding plans with Ken. "So, about the wedding expenses, that's settled, right?" It took me a moment to realize she was addressing me. "What do you mean?" As I scrambled to make sense of this sudden topic, Teresa looked even more displeased. "Well, we're suddenly losing our only daughter to a man who's a decade older and got her pregnant. Of course, he should take responsibility. We're the victims here, after all. At least let us have a beautiful wedding. You'll cover the expenses, won't you?" "Oh, Grandma, don't worry. We've managed to book a venue, so just pay for it, and we're good," Heather chimed in. I was stunned not just by Teresa's logic, but also by being called Grandma. "Wait a minute. What do you mean by victims? And why are you calling me Grandma? I'm Ken's mother." Heather laughed as if I had made a funny mistake. "Oh come on, I know that. But an old guy's parent, you're practically a grandma, right? Ignoring that, let's just say we're counting on you for the wedding expenses. And also, prepare some initial costs for their new apartment. We'll contact you soon about it. There's no way I'm letting my daughter into a house as old and neglected as this one." "What?" My mind went blank, unable to form a response. By the time I regained my composure, Heather and her mother had already left. 1 month later. "From now on, please do not contact us except for weddings or funerals, okay?" Shortly after being coerced into paying for the wedding and new home preparations, Teresa spoke to me harshly. "Huh? Again, it was so sudden that I couldn't comprehend, and Teresa vented her irritation at me. I've suffered terribly from mother-in-law issues in the past. I'm saying I don't want my daughter to go through the same thing. Don't you get it? Regardless of your reasoning, can we please have a proper conversation? You always bring up things so abruptly. I tried to propose a calm discussion, but it seemed to further upset Teresa. Oh, come on, after all the trouble I went through with my mother-in-law, now I have to deal with you? No way. Listen. I've had enough of these hassles. So, no more unnecessary contact, okay? Got it, she insisted emphatically. I see. I was completely overwhelmed and could only nod in agreement. I had never even considered mistreating my daughters-in-law. In fact, I was confident in my good relationship with Karen, my younger son's wife. Even though this girl who called my son an old guy and me a grandma had helped my previously aimless son decide to get married and was soon to have a baby, I wanted to get along well if we were to become family. But remembering my first intense encounter with Teresa, my enthusiasm waned. I just couldn't see myself getting along with someone like her. Regrettably, I suppose it's time for some detachment, maybe that's just how it has to be. I told myself. 2 months later. Hello, Ken? I just got a call that Grandpa is critically ill. I'm heading there now. Karen can't come because the baby has a fever. And Mitchell is leaving work early to join. What about you? Can you come immediately? My father-in-law, the grandfather to my sons, had been in a care facility for a long time due to old age. I had hurriedly reached out with the news of his critical condition, but the response I got was unexpected. I'm not Ken. And remember, you were told not to contact us? What? Heather? Where's Ken? Please tell him Grandpa is in a serious condition. So, we don't need your call. You still can't remember? Hey, Grandma? Despite the seriousness of the situation, Heather showed no sign of concern. Look, this isn't about inheritance coming our way, right? Just to clarify, we only want contact for occasions that are beneficial to us. Did you not understand that? Heather. That's right. We're expecting a baby soon, so just wire the congratulatory money, okay? And send the other gifts by mail. Bye. With that, the call ended. I was speechless at the audacity. Eventually, my father-in-law passed away, and my younger son Mitchell and I handled the funeral and all related arrangements. Once the hectic days settled down, I reconsidered everything. I had swallowed all my words against their rude remarks and one-sided demands, but enough was enough. I decided to let go. I resolved to clear my heart of all the unwanted feelings. Sometime later, I received an irritated call. Hey, Grandma, where's the congratulatory money? You're ignoring your grandchild's birth? Come on, say something. Are you too old to hear? Hello, a baby was born. Understand? Send the money quickly. Heather's voice was loud and demanding. Instead of responding, I let out a heavy sigh. What? Hey, are you listening? My hearing isn't what it used to be, being a grandma and all. I can't hear the voice of a rude woman. What? Grandma? What are you? Heather was saying something, but I hung up without paying attention. The phone rang again soon after, but I didn't respond. There were noisy calls for a while, but they ceased by the next day. I wonder if they'll give up now. Let's go for a walk, shall we? I took my adorable grandchild for our usual stroll. Oh, look, Luna. What have you brought? I don't want the usual birds. Where did this come from? During the walk, Luna, who often visited my younger son's yard, dropped a wallet at my feet. I need to turn this in at the police box. I changed our destination to the police box, pushing the stroller. So, I ended up finding this. Back home, I told Mitchell and Karen about the incident during our walk. After I turned in the wallet, the owner came to claim it right away. He offered a reward, but since Luna brought it, I declined. Instead, he gave me this. Wow, finding a wallet and getting a lottery ticket, that's quite a story. The two of them listened to my story, smiling throughout. If you win, you'll be a millionaire, Mitchell joked. That would be quite a story, wouldn't it? But it's nice to dream, I replied. Several weeks later, Heather and her mother arrived, clutching their phone. The screen displayed news from the previous day. Why didn't you contact us? You weren't planning to keep this a secret, were you? I sighed in exasperation as they ranted through the intercom. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just following your request not to contact you. What? We said to contact us if it's beneficial for us. Seriously, Grandma? Open up, will you? You're being so unreasonable. Let us in, please. They were yelling loudly. Please leave, you're disturbing the neighbors. If you keep making noise, I'll call the police. What did you say? In anger, Teresa swung her bag, cracking the intercom camera. Time to call the police, then. Karen, who was watching nearby, called the police while soothing the baby. Hey. What's this about? I'm family, not a stranger. Move aside. Despite the police's arrival and their admonishments, the two refused to comply and even seemed ready to lash out at the officers. No way, we don't want to deal with the police. I had no choice but to go outside to confront them. You should calm down. The moment the intercom was damaged is recorded on video. Teresa's face turned red with anger. So what? The lottery ticket you got as a reward for returning a wallet won a huge prize, right? I read that you shared it with the wallet's owner. But you still have a lot left. We have rights to that, being the wife and daughter-in-law of your eldest son. Yeah, Grandma. You didn't even give us a congratulatory gift for having your grandchild. Pay up, all of it. I was dumbfounded by their words. Aren't you mistaken? My adorable grandchild is already here, and all the celebrations are done. Sorry, I'm a grandma. I can't understand what you're saying. You know, old age and all. You. Well, but winning the lottery is rare, and they say fortune should be shared, so here you go. I handed them an envelope. What's this? It feels thin. Is there a check inside? They snatched it eagerly as I smiled warmly. I found a good way to split it. Based on the number of times you've talked to me with a smile. The only time you did was at the wedding. Just once for the public greeting. So, it was easy to calculate. What? Just this much. This is like a child's New Year's gift. Enough, isn't it? Don't be ridiculous. In her rage, Teresa swung her bag around, accidentally hitting a police officer, and eventually, she and Heather were taken away for obstructing official duties. Served them right. A few days later, the unrepentant Heather and her mother showed up again. Despite hearing they had been severely reprimanded by the police a few days earlier, they hadn't learned their lesson. The house was gone. Hearing their initial outcry, I understood what was going on. Yes, I sold the old house to a development company, so that would be the case. Just before winning the lottery, I had been approached by a developer to sell my house, and I decided to let it go. Mitchell and his family wanted us to live together, so I made up my mind. An unoccupied house deteriorates. Just like Teresa said when we first met. Thank you for the advice. It helped me lighten my load. What? So, you got the money from selling the house and the lottery winnings? That's greedy. We thought to claim the house if you wouldn't share the lottery winnings, but what now? You're hoarding money. Share it with us, Grandma. You're favoring the younger son's family. It's unfair that we get nothing. I couldn't comprehend their logic. Take care of your daughter-in-law and grandchild. Ken is the eldest. There's an order to these things. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity. Did you both forget what you said? You told me not to contact you, right? I have the recording of that conversation. I'm just keeping my promise. Is there a problem? That doesn't matter. Actually, it does. You mentioned earlier about taking care of the daughter-in-law and grandchild, respecting order. Exactly. I cherish those who treat me as a person who I can share a laugh with. According to my personal ranking. Naturally, you two are out of the circle. And I've sorted out my finances. Of course, according to my personal ranking, it's all distributed. You two, being outside the circle, won't get a penny. But you should be happy. I haven't asked for a refund on the extravagant wedding expenses and additional moving costs for the new house. Shut up, you miser. Please, have mercy, Grandma. Teresa, haven't you learned how to speak to your elders? Such a disgrace. What? Heather, how many times do I have to tell you? I'm not your grandma. But don't worry, I won't contact you again, as per your initial request. Enjoy what you wished for. This can't be happening. Margaret, the police have arrived. As I finished venting and feeling relieved, Karen informed me that the police had arrived. After the earlier property damage and today's commotion, the familiar faces of Heather and her mother were taken away by the police without mercy. I'm so sorry for all the trouble. I apologized to the officers, who smiled and said it's part of their job. We're causing the police so much trouble. Karen looked apologetic, but I reassured her. I wanted to thank them, so I offered some of my lottery winnings, but they couldn't accept it. So, I donated a police car instead. I hope it's comfortable. Don't worry, I plan to formally express my gratitude again. Then, Mitchell, Karen, and I gathered around the dinner table, enjoying our usual family time. Later, following our legal complaint, Heather and her mother were ordered to pay for the damaged intercom. This time, they seem to have learned their lesson and haven't approached us again. Focused on immediate gains, the two lost out on something bigger and were left dejected. I decided to buy a new house to live with Mitchell and his family. I'm looking forward to more joyful days ahead.